Have you ever been in a situation where you just really, really wanted to talk to somebody, communicate with them, but you didn't know how to get it started? You didn't know how to keep it going, and maybe you had a really big ask you wanted to make, but you did not know how to get there. You just didn't feel comfortable with your communication. We're going to end all that today. I'm going to teach you how to communicate with anybody with 5 steps. 5 steps. What's up, fam? It's Dr. Dale, and this is Permission to Be Great, where my mission is to help you walk in your greatness on a daily basis. All right, let's dive right in. But before that, please hit that subscribe button. Do your boy a favor. If you love the videos, if you benefit from the videos, hit subscribe. If you don't love the videos, do your boy a favor anyways and still hit that subscribe button. Help me out, okay? All right, so let's dive right into this, okay? So, communication is one of the most important skills you can have. If you were to say, Dr. Dale, what skill would you want to have above all others? There are a lot of things, but communication is definitely up there really, really high somewhere. That's how life moves forward, right? And there's different types of communication. There's communication where on stage this past weekend, for example, I was out there rocking the stage. Last week I had a speaking gig also, right? So talking to the masses, but then there's also communication on a smaller scale, an individual one-on-one scale. And that's more so what we're talking about today, right? We've all been in these situations where we just really, really want to go talk to somebody. Maybe it's a girl you like, right? Or maybe it's a professor, right? You really want to talk to them, but you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to engage them, how to keep it going, etc. We're fixing that right now. All right, so I'm going to be taking notes here, and I'll put it up so you guys can see what I'm writing down here as well, so that way you can follow along visually as well. So 5 R's. We're going to be talking about 5 R's so you can talk, communicate with anybody. All right, so the first thing you got to do, the first R, number 1, is you have to recruit them to the conversation. Recruit them to the conversation. So how do you do that? You see somebody, you might be outside on campus, at a party, wherever, you might be at a business meeting, you see somebody, you really, really want to talk to them, but you don't know how to get it started. One of the simplest ways, I'll give you my example. This is an example. You tell me what I did here, right? So when I was in college, before I met my wife, right? And my wife, I've been with her for 20 plus years. So this was a while ago, a long time ago. When I would see a girl I like, I would say something like this: man, I really like those shoes. Where'd you get those from? Those are some really nice shoes on you. What am I doing? What's the first R? Right? Recruitment. But what am I doing in there? Right? So the first thing you gotta do is you have to praise them, give them praise, right? So the first R is recruitment. How do you recruit somebody? You praise them, you give them a compliment, right? Think about it. Man, most people go through your entire days just kind of sad, hurting, just waiting to get off of work, waiting to get out of class, right? Going through your entire day, doing things that they really don't want to do. I know sometimes I do that. I love my job, but still some days I'm like, man, I'm just tired. And all you need is one person to say one nice thing to you. When that person says that one nice thing to you, your eyes perk up, you get excited, right? And then now they have your attention. Those are really nice shoes, right? Oh, that was a great lecture you gave, right? Oh, that was an amazing business tip that you just shared with them on stage, right? Just any little nice tip that you can give somebody, it gains their attention, because most people have gone through days, you're beat down, you're tired, they just had enough for the day, but you say one nice thing and you grab their attention and you keep their attention, right? In a sense, it's flattery in a sense. Flattery. But what all you're trying to do with this is you're trying to get their attention. So that's recruitment. Now you have their attention. Now they want to talk to you because you said something nice to them. They want more nice things, right? They want you to feed their ego, right? That's what they want to hear. All right. So you've got them recruited. Number 2, recruitment's cool, but you get somebody over. Hey, those are nice shoes. They come over here. Oh, thank you. Walk off. You don't want them to walk off. So what's the next step? You have to retain them in your conversation. And how are we going to retain them? Here's how you're going to retain them. You're going to retain them by asking questions. And this is huge. And this is huge for multiple reasons, okay? But again, it's huge for number 1, because when you're trying to retain somebody in a conversation, I just told you, most people are about themselves. Sadly, sad as it sounds, we should be about other people, loving other people, helping out other people, focus on other people. But most people want to hear themselves talk. Most people want to feel like the expert. And that's exactly what you're doing when you're asking them questions. You're putting them in a position of experts. You're making them feel as though they're the expert. You're making them feel as though they are contributors. They are contributing to your life. And when people are contributing, they feel as though they're doing something good. It makes them feel good. So you want to ask them questions, not in an annoying way, right? Ask them good questions. And the better questions the questions that you're truly curious about, right? You're really curious about. And it's so simple. It's so simple. You give a compliment. So if I say your shoes are nice, my next question is not going to be, what'd you get in class, right? Or if I say your shoes are nice, my next question might be, yeah, where'd you get them from? You know, are they comfortable? Make it relatable to the compliment you just gave them. Then you can start building up. Then you can start shifting and asking different questions off of that compliment and say, by the way, I noticed da 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 da. And then you can ask another question. But when you're asking them questions, the key is they want to hear themselves talk, and let them hear themselves talk. That's perfectly fine. Hear themselves talk. That's perfectly fine. We're okay with that. We want that. That's one of the biggest things in my communication. I don't remember what book I read. I read, so many books, but I read a book years and years and years ago about this idea of letting people just talk, right? That's okay. So let them hear themselves talk. Let them feel like they're the experts. You sit there, you be quiet, have a smile on your face, just nod, and just be completely engaged with them, right? But when you're asking them questions, don't just let them, make sure you're listening to what they have to say, right? Because it's going to be important for this next step. So the third step is really important, right? These are building up, right? Number 5, you're going to want to hear number 5. Number 5 is getting back to you, okay? You're going to want to hear number 5. But before we can get to number 5, we have to build up in these steps. So we're going in order. These steps are in order for a purpose, right? So step number 3, I don't like my 3 there. Let me erase my 3. So step number 3, I had it looking like an 8. So step number 3, okay, after you've recruited them, you've retained them by asking them questions, now you need to relate with them. What do I mean? What do I mean by relate? Eventually, they're going to be like, man, something's going to click in their mind for them to realize, wow, I've been asking this guy or this gal a million questions, right? I look kind of crazy right now. Let me be quiet. Let me ask them a question. Eventually, that's what's going to happen. So when they ask you a question, you want to be able to relate to them, because what they're doing subconsciously, what they're really doing is they're trying to see, they really ask themselves a question, right? And the question they're asking, where'd it go? They're asking this, so that's number 5. We'll get to here in a second. But they're really asking themselves a question. The question they're really asking is am I compatible with this person? So that's what they're asking themselves. Are they compatible with you? So they've sat there, they've talked to you forever, but they don't know anything about you. So you're going to start asking you some questions, right? They're going to be trying to learn about you. You're going to start saying, man, am I relatable to this person? Am I just here talking to them? It's going to be a waste of time, right? Am I going to like this person? Is it worth me spending my time? Is it worth the energy that I'm expending for me to continue this conversation? So eventually they'll start asking you some questions. All they're trying to do is see is, are you relatable? And you should be able to come up as relatable. Why? Because if you focus on step 2, you would have been listening to their answers. So listening to step 2's answers. And because you listen to step 2, you should have good answers for step 3. You should be relatable. You should be able to know kind of where they're at. So again, remember I told you, don't just listen for the sake of letting them hear themselves talk, but actually listen for the sake of picking up information that you can use in your future conversations. So that's step number 3, relate. Number 4 is now you need to be a resource to them. A resource, because once they figured out that, hey, I can relate to this individual, subconsciously, when we get into relationships, I'm not talking about boyfriend, girlfriend stuff necessarily. I'm talking about just any sort of amicable friendly relationship. Subconsciously, we're also evaluating, can this person be a resource for us? Maybe not now, maybe down the line, but is this person on my same wavelength to a certain degree? Is this person, how can it help me? So the question is here, so what you're thinking in their mind about you is can you add value to their lives? Make value big. You need to understand that. Can you add value to their lives? Right? So they're asking you a question now, they're related, and they're trying to figure out, hey, can Dr. Dale add any value to my life? Right? Can it be a resource? So you want to position yourself as somebody who can be a resource. You want to position, so it's not just about being a resource. You want to position yourself as such. Position, which means that in your communication, you should be saying things so they know that you're not bragging about yourself, right? Again, you want this to be mostly focused on them, but in your communication, you should be saying things so they know what you do. Kind of like having your elevator speech, your one-liner, right? Excuse me. So resource. Now, I told you these things need to go in this order so we can get to number 5. And what's number 5? When you communicate with anybody, when you have any sort of relationship, and those you guys who will watch my other videos, you know what I'm like, you know the way I think. I'm all about thinking, how can we serve other people? How can we help other people? So that should be your primary focus. When you get into communication, you should be thinking about them first. However, if you have true, and the Bible uses the term koinonia, right? I'm probably not saying it right, but it's Greek, koinonia. It's Greek, all things common. I think Greek a lot. I think Greek. All things common, koinonia, right? It's in the book of Acts. It starts to talk about how, after Jesus was resurrected and the church was born, they were koinonia. All things were common. So you help each other is what it means. You help each other. It means that if I'm hurting, I'm there for my neighbor. I mean, my neighbor's there for me. If my neighbor's hurting, I'm there for them, right? So eventually you might have requests in life. And that's number 5, right? That's number 5. Number 5 is now you get to the point where you can make your request. This is important. I want to take a second to break this down. It needs to be in this order because here's what happens. It happens to me all the time, right? So I had this huge Black Men and White Coat Summit this past weekend. Get up on stage, rock the stage. And what happens after every time, a speaker talks? People rush to front. They start asking questions. And some people, what they do is they make requests right off the bat. They make requests right off the bat. For me, the big one I get a lot of times is about mentorship, right? Can you mentor me? Can you mentor me? I'll tell you, back in the day, I used to say, yes, I can mentor. But then what I realized with time is, number one, I wasn't doing a good job at it because I was doing a phenomenal job coaching, counseling, advising, but not a phenomenal job mentoring. I later learned what true mentoring is, what it really entails, how difficult, how much of an investment it is, right? So that led me to start saying no, because I started to realize, hey, mentoring is a different level of commitment. All right. Say yes, but it's for very few people. It's hard to mentor a lot of people at once, right? Okay, so that's that. They will come down. People start asking, "Can you mentor?" But the thing is, what they didn't realize is they hadn't gone through these steps, right? You have to go through stuff. You can't try to make your request here, right? You can't make your request too early. You can't make your request here. You've got to go through all 4 of these steps, and then after 4, what you have is this other R. This other R is really important. Rapport. You've built rapport. Before you start making requests, in most circumstances, most situations, you want to have built your rapport before you start making requests. So what is rapport? Rapport is a friendly relationship that's now founded with some trust. There's trust in it now, right? So you've gone through all steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the person you talk to has some trust in you. They see something good in you. They've decided, hey, I would like to keep this relationship going farther into the future. You now have rapport with them. After you have rapport is now when you can make your request. After you've built rapport is when you can now make your request, right? That's something that people mess up so much. They're like, Dr. Dale, can you mentor me? And they're just right here, right? We just got into a conversation. There's a lot of times, even before recruitment, they haven't recruited me, they try to make it right here after the relate. I'm like, no, do these things in order. Do these things in order is very, very important, right? And again, your request, the thing to know about request is it's not a must. It's not a must. You don't have to make a request. So don't feel as though you get into a conversation because you're going to you do not have to make a request. Just get into conversation. Think more so, how can I help this other person? I was reading the Bible verse this morning. Foolish me, I forgot the actual verse, but it's devotional I did with my oldest son this morning when I was taking him to school. And the point of the verse was, I'll do each other in honor and love. Right? I'll do each other in honor and love. If anybody knows the verse, go ahead and drop it down in the comments for me. I'll do each other in honor and love, right? So we should be focused on helping other people, not just thinking, what can I get out of this relationship? Approach the relationship, what can I give to the relationship first? But after you build that rapport, it's okay. Koinonia, all things common. We're here for each other. It's okay for you to make the request, right? It's okay. But just make sure you built that rapport first. The other thing is your request should be in relation to your rapport. So that's what I was saying with the mentor thing, actually. So where I was going with that. You don't want to come up to me and be like, Dr. Dale, can I mentor you? And I barely know you, because the answer is probably going to be, no, I can help you. I can give you advice, and maybe with time I can mentor you later. But right now it's going to be very, very difficult. It's going to be difficult, right? So you want to make sure the amount of rapport you built that dictates the magnitude of the request you can make. Now, there are certain situations you're kind of like, hey, I'm never going to see this person again in my life. Maybe it's somebody really big in some company or something. I might never get to see them. Let me make my ask now. Hey, go ahead and make the ask. Ask and it shall be given to you, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. It's okay to make the ask. But usually, not all the time, but usually on a day-to-day basis, you don't want to be making huge asks of people without having that rapport, right? And the reason I say that is because the answer more than likely will be no, right? So you want to build that rapport, then start making those asks. All right, let's go over the 5 steps again. The 5 R's to communicate with anybody. The 5 R's to communicate with anybody. Number 1, recruit. You want to recruit them to your conversation, recruit them to your presence by giving them a compliment, a praise, make them feel good about themselves, get their attention. Number 2, retain them in your conversation. How do you retain them? By asking them questions. People love to hear their own voice, right? People want to feel like experts. They want to feel as though they're contributing to other people's lives. So retain them. Number 3, be relatable. Relate to them. After a while, you've been asking them questions. They're going to turn the table and start asking you questions. Why? Because you're trying to gauge how relatable am I with this person? Am I compatible to even consider keeping the relationship going, moving forward? Or should I just end the conversation now? Number 4, be a resource to them. Show them, hey, I can add value to your life, right? Offer yourself as a resource to help them in some shape or form. Number 5, now, after you've built the bonus R, which is rapport, you've built rapport by steps 1 through 4. Now you can make a request to them. You don't have to make a request. We should always be more focused on helping other people than trying to get what we want. But now you're in a position where you can make that request. All right, fam. I hope all that made sense to you, man. Drop some comments if it did. If it didn't, ask questions, whatever. I just hope all of that made sense to you, right? Now I'm going to ask you for a favor. So if you feel as though this was a blessing, if you got value from this, hit that subscribe button. You know, most of the viewers who watch my videos actually don't subscribe. Most don't subscribe. The people come back and they watch the videos over and over. They'll watch next week, but they don't hit that subscribe button. So I'm just asking, why are you here right now? Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help me out because the YouTube algorithm sees that. It helps my channel grow, get out to more people, help more people, and I would really, really appreciate that. Now, all right, so what's YouTube going to do? YouTube's going to show you a couple of videos right around here right now because YouTube knows what you like and they think you're going to like one of these videos around here. So go ahead and click on that video. Keep on growing, keep on learning. Remember, you have permission to be great. I'm praying for you and I love you guys.